The 1920s roared with energy, cities booming, jazz blaring, and skyscrapers rising. For the first time, more Americans lived in cities than on farms. Radios and automobiles transformed daily life, making the world feel smaller and the future brighter. Prosperity seemed endless, fueled by easy credit and a surging stock market. Ordinary people invested, often borrowing to buy stocks, convinced the market could only go up. But beneath the glitter, cracks formed. Farmers struggled, debt mounted, and the gap between rich and poor widened. The prosperity was built on shaky ground, credit, speculation, and fragile confidence. While city dwellers danced, rural America faced falling crop prices and foreclosures. Few noticed the warning signs. The American dream was supercharged, but dangerously unstable. The party felt unstoppable, but the foundation was weak. The music was loud, the lights were bright. No one wanted to believe the good times could end. The party, it turned out, was almost over. The crash came suddenly. Black Tuesday, October 29, 1929. Panic swept Wall Street as millions rushed to sell, fortunes evaporating in hours. 16 million shares traded, the ticker tape couldn't keep up. The dream of easy wealth died overnight. The shock rippled across America. People stopped spending, fear spread, and confidence vanished. Banks invested in the market began to fail as panicked customers lined up to withdraw savings. There was no safety net. When banks closed, entire communities lost everything. The crash wasn't just a Wall Street story, it was a locked bank door in every town. Unemployment soared, businesses shuttered, and hope faded. The country was gripped by fear and uncertainty. The collapse exposed the fragility of the system. The prosperity of the 1920s was gone in an instant. The future was suddenly dark. The Great Depression had begun. America would never be the same. The crash was just the spark. The fire had been smoldering for years. Overproduction plagued factories and farms, goods piled up but few could afford them. Layoffs began even before the crash as warehouses overflowed. Farmers, deep in debt from wartime expansion, faced plummeting prices and dust storms. Many lost their land, forced into poverty. The banking system was weak. Thousands of small banks, no deposit insurance, and little oversight. When panic hit, banks collapsed, wiping out life savings and choking off credit. The government, led by President Hoover, hesitated to intervene, believing the economy would fix itself. Charity and local aid were no match for the scale of the disaster. Unemployment soared, shantytowns called Hoovervilles sprang up across the nation. The crisis was too big for old solutions. The American spirit was tested as never before. The system had failed its people. Desperation and anger grew. The nation demanded change. The Great Depression quickly became a global disaster. America's collapse sent shockwaves worldwide. Trade halted, loans called in, economies crumbled. Germany, reliant on U.S. loans, plunged into chaos. Unemployment soared, fueling extremism. Britain's industries faltered, towns went dark, and the gold standard was abandoned. Across Latin America, Africa, and Asia, export economies collapsed overnight. Nations turned inward, raising tariffs and sparking trade wars. Smoot-Hawley in the U.S. made things worse. Global trade shrank to a trickle. International cooperation gave way to suspicion and nationalism. The economic crisis became a political one. Desperation bred radical movements and instability. The world order fractured, the seeds of future conflict were sown. The Depression was now a global storm. Out of the darkness, Franklin D. Roosevelt rose with a promise of a New Deal. He projected hope, declaring, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Roosevelt's administration acted fast, closing banks, restoring confidence, and launching bold programs. The New Deal brought relief, recovery, and reform jobs for the unemployed, new infrastructure, and safeguards for the future. The government's role in the economy changed forever. Other nations tried their own solutions. Some expanded social safety nets, others turned to dangerous ideologies. In Germany, economic despair fueled the rise of Hitler and the Nazis. The Depression became the breeding ground for fascism and, ultimately, World War II. The crisis finally ended with the massive spending of the war. Its legacy, a new expectation that government would protect its people. The world learned hard lessons about greed, risk, and the need for cooperation. The scars of the 1930s remain a warning. The Great Depression changed everything.